Greene regularly pushes Russia propaganda and has been praised by Vladimir Putin. She's a strong Trump supporter and pushed the big lie that led to the January 6th insurrection. Greene also visited jailed insurrectionists, giving them high fives, hugs, and handshakes. And keep in mind, thousands of people were charged, and some with very significant convictions. So these are not innocent people, but she obviously encourages and supports them.
Her link to strongmen, like especially to autocrats, is very disconcerting. Just the history of her town, the history of her district, and her allegiances. Being praised by Putin on its own is one of those things where I would just throw it away. It's like, I'm not going to let that idiot, besmirch a representative of America, because I mean, Putin is praised like Green Party candidates and other people, he does these things in order to sow distrust in the country, because he knows we like to jump on his words that way. The media will. So I'm not just going to take it out, but the whole thing, again, the painting you're putting together, the Mussolini, the Klan, and then it's like, and then you're cozy with Trump, and then not cozy, you're cozy with Putin, and then it's like you gravitate towards strongmen, people who will basically take power and never give it back. This is starting to get getting a little uncomfortable. It's getting, I hope there aren't more people like her currently in the United States Congress, because a Congress populated with these kinds of people, that's like a democracy. That's a time where you're like, okay, democracy, like, it's not just what do you call it? It's not just a flight of fancy or being overly dramatic, or you're like, this is the end of the democracy. If there are people who literally feel more allegiant to dictators than they do a republic, yeah, you got to start questioning what's actually happening here. That's wild.
Yeah, I got nothing to add to that. So she's a newly elected congresswoman, and days after Biden's inauguration in January 2021, just after, I cannot emphasize this enough, just after she gets in herself, Greene filed for articles of impeachment against Biden, alleging abuse of powers. Again, days after his inauguration. How disingenuous could you be? Now, around this time, Mitch McConnell called her a cancer on the Republican Party, and a few weeks later, the House GOP voted to remove Greene from all committee roles in response to her endorsement of political violence. In 2021 and 2022,
better times. But those are we won't look back on that as the civilized.
How quaint, how charming.
When we were civilized.
Yeah, when Boner was the problem, or Boehner. I'm sorry, my apologies. So in 2021 and 2022, during the pandemic, Greene was fined at least 18 times, totaling at least $93,000 for not wearing a mask on the House floor. Also in 2022, Greene's husband, Perry, filed for divorce, stating that the marriage had been irretrievably broken, and that was finalized in December. And
so she actually pushed it to the brink. So he basically was like, I will sit with you and pretend while I do my electronic trains in the basement. I will pretend like we are married while you go off and do whatever you want while you frat CrossFitters. I'm okay with that, because
she's on the outs because she's been booted from all the committees. Maybe he was my time.
Like, right now, he's probably like, you're hurting my pocket. It's like when you were basically ineffectual, when the money was good, I was going to keep this, but right now you're probably hurting my pocket because of the association with you, and it's time to cut ties. That's crazy. That's funny.
Yeah, that's where we are. So now it is January of this year, 2023. And after helping Kevin McCarthy become House Speaker, she was rewarded by Kevin by putting her back on a few powerful committees. And Greene is now on the Oversight Committee that's investigating the Biden family, and the Homeland Security Committee, where she's trying to impeach Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas, who you might know from recent news events. And I will add that several Republicans voted alongside Democrats to kill Greene's motion and prevented Mayorkas from being the first cabinet secretary in 147 years to be impeached. So she failed on that one. Although 6 months after,
next time, Martin, she'll get friends.
There's always a next time. But I'll say that 6 months later, so I think it was like June or July, she was put after she was put on her committees, Greene was expelled from the conservative House Freedom Caucus, which many of you might know from our episode where we profiled Jim Jordan that he helped co-found. And she was expelled because she insulted fellow caucus member and Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. So during Greene's tenure,
it's not so bad that as bad as we may think things are, there are still the majority, despite what they're saying in their rhetoric, are still like, yeah, we're just not Nazis. We're just like, we're just not there. We still find value in the democracy, in the republic. The republic stands, and we're profiting from it, and we just can't get ourselves to overthrow it for an emperor. It's just not really palatable at this stage. They're like, you're just a little too far out from where we currently are. Okay. It's heartening.
It's
fair. A little heartening.
That's fair. Well, maybe when we hear Marjorie Taylor Greene's voting record, maybe that'll push us over the edge.